as we know, Piers Morgan loves to lie. He constantly changes his viewpoint and his opinion when it suits him. Whenever something is actually trending, you best be certain Piers Morgan will be trending along with it. It's all about views and clicks for Piers Morgan and not about things that are actually right or truthful at all. Of late, we've seen Piers Morgan lie about Tommy Robinson. I have made several videos about that, even the video made yesterday of Tommy Robinson pretty much calling out Piers Morgan and Piers blocking Tommy Robinson, because that's exactly what Piers does. If he doesn't like you, or if you call him out on any of his bull, you know what, then he will block you, or he will just run and hide and try and escape and pretend that you don't actually exist. Pretend that a lot of people that actually really do think that he's a lying scumbag, they actually exist, right? So my problem is, while Piers says some things that are actually right, sometimes a lot of the stuff that he says are wrong, and he only is good for generating a great deal of drama on his uncensored show. That's the only thing I believe Piers Morgan is good for. And of late, he's been doing a lot of propaganda for the terrorist organization known as Hamas by saying that, well, Israel is at fault for the blockade at the moment, not allowing food to get in. And one thing that I've noticed about Piers, see, the problem that I've always got is if you don't have any integrity whatsoever, if you don't actually side with the truth or even look at a situation and try and focus on primarily the truth and go against evil, you end up standing on nothing at all. And then you end up siding with the evil group. And that's exactly what Piers Morgan is doing in this instance. So initially, Piers was on the side of Israel. And then all of a sudden, as time has gone on, he has changed his viewpoint. Why? Because he's had a lot of these Palestinian people that are supporting Islam. And now it seems like Piers Morgan is supporting Islam and a terrorist organization. Have a watch of this, ladies and gentlemen. This is lately. And he says that the thing that changed his mind of all of this sort of stuff that's going on with Israel and Gaza at the moment is Bassam Youssef. Have a watch.
Find yourself at the heart of the global conversation on Gaza?
I would say two words, Bassam Youssef, actually. There's no doubt that my own view, which was from the start that Israel had a fundamental right and duty to defend itself after that horrific attack on October the 7th, my question from the start was always, what is a proportionate response? And to me, what has been happening in recent weeks and months, especially since this blockade, but also the ferocious bombardments of the last few weeks in particular, to me has crossed a line. And I'm not alone. There are now two former Israeli prime ministers who are condemning what Israel is doing as war crimes, calling it genocide openly. My firm message to Prime Minister Netanyahu, let the journalists in. They keep pretending it's because of our safety. Please, we're not stupid. Let the international journalists in, and then we can work out whether what Israel's saying, the government is saying, is correct. And my suspicion is it's not.
I can actually agree with one of the points that Piers made in the video. I want to know whether or not the Israeli government is actually telling the truth with what's going on in Gaza at the moment. I don't know about you, but I think the whole bloody world wants to know, and not just whether or not it's this major propaganda machine from the terrorist organization, because I guarantee you the terrorist organization that has done a great deal of propaganda of late is quite proud of what they've been doing and the kind of treatment that they've been instilling with the Palestinian people in Gaza at the moment. So if you've got a terrorist organization that is actually quite proud and cheering on the devastation and the destruction of their own people and taking away aid from them. And again, one of the questions that Piers isn't actually asking, a very important question, how do we know that the aid is actually going to the right people? Because it seems to me like the blockade was put up there for a very specific reason. It just wouldn't just be, oh, I'm going to do a blockade because I hate the Palestinian people and I don't want them to get any aid at all. I don't want them to have any food. No, it's because the terrorist organization there wasn't allowing any of the citizens to have any of the food. They would steal it from the blockade usually, and you'd have actual civilians rushing the blockade to try and get the food so that the terrorist organization wouldn't take it from them. But even then, the terrorist organization would fire into the crowd. Now, the thing that I have a problem with at the moment with Piers Morgan is he said this over on X recently. So it's to do with the Hamas official says it rejects the new US Gaza ceasefire plan backed by Israel. So we're trying to get peace in Israel at the moment we're trying to get peace between Israel and Gaza and the terrorist organization. And there's obviously some things that need to go on in order to get peace in that area. And Piers goes, one thing is disputable in this war. Hamas doesn't care how many Palestinian civilians die and hasn't done since October 7th. Their betrayal of their own people is as despicable as the T-word attacks on Israelis. And then he says this. Well, he gets asked by Rabbi OJ, which I think mentions Piers Morgan's persona quite well, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Remind Mr. Hyde that you simultaneously promote Hamas propaganda while you claim Israel is ending the lives of babies. Where does your data come from exactly? And Piers responds and goes, Israel has ended the lives of a lot of babies in Gaza and many thousands of other children as it has waged its war against Hamas. That's not Hamas propaganda. It's cold, hard, undeniable fact. Well, how do you know that? If you're saying that it's hard, undeniable fact, where is your hard, undeniable facts? I would love to know too, because the reports that I've been seeing, a vast majority of them come from one particular side, not the other side. Now, it's kind of hard when you've got a war going on in this particular instance to know what is real and what's not, to know what is like stretched out propaganda and what's not, because you had recently a report from, I think it's the United Nations. They retracted that report recently. But it had been out for 5 days. It did a lot of damage. It did a lot of harm. So that's what I'm talking about. How do we know that any of this stuff that is coming out, any of the reports that are being reported on, I guess you could say, how do we know that any of it is actually accurate, especially in today's day and age, right? We don't. We're going off of trust of any of the journalists that are there. Now, the thing that Piers Morgan wants is let the journalists in, let the international journalists in, because Israel is apparently trying to protect them by not going into Gaza at the moment. All right, let's let in all the journalists, including the likes of Piers Morgan, because he's more than happy to sit on his backside and criticize Israel and say, oh, what is a proportionate response? All right, Piers, what would you do? What would you consider to be a proportionate response when you had the terrorist organization cross over your borders and wipe out 1,300 of your own members, including children as well? What would you do? What would you do as a proportionate response to an organization that doesn't want you to actually exist at all? What would you do? What would you do for an organization that was, yes, voted in, but has treated the Palestinian people with like the fact that they are literal scum of the earth? What would you do? What would you consider to be a proportionate response? Do you want them to continue to exist? Do you want all of the leaders of this terrorist organization to continue doing the things they've been doing for quite some time now? Do you want this terrorist organization to continue profiting and benefiting by being around? Or would you say, all right, Israel, yes, we understand that there are casualties of war, but I don't want this terrorist organization to exist at all. So by all means, go for it, wipe them out. We don't care about the terrorist organization. We want them gone. And unfortunately, because this terrorist organization has done a very fantastic job at hiding itself behind children, they know what that's going to do. And unfortunately, yes, it is horrible. Yes, it is hard, but there are casualties of war, especially when it comes to a terrorist organization. And why, Piers Morgan, are you siding with the terrorist organization? Why? You got to ask yourself that question. Why are you doing their dirty work? Why are you going against Israel? Yes, Israel may have ended the lives of babies, but not on purpose. You can't say, oh, that is the G word because they apparently their intention was horrible. No, their intention was sound. Their intention was to wipe out this terrorist organization that no one should want around. But why are you, Piers Morgan, constantly flip-flopping around? Oh, Bassam Youssef. Oh, two Israeli prime ministers this week came out and said that what's going on is they're committing war crimes. It's unfathomable. So you're doing the dirty work of Hamas, effectively. And then you're going to the entire world and letting the entire world know just how much of a principled man you really are. You're not. You know, anything of the sort. And they're saying, if he can, like with that video that I showed you, if he can change, anyone can change. The problem is Piers Morgan changes his opinions a lot. He can't actually stand with one opinion because he just goes with the flow. He goes with one trending opinion to the next. Now, my thing is, I don't care who the hell you are. I will call you out. I will criticize you. And I don't care if you're conservative, Christian, whatever. If you go against the truth, and if you don't look at things from a moral standpoint, even I can see that what's going on in Gaza at the moment is actually horrible. But I know the realities of war. I know the consequences to war. Sure, it's horrible. Sure, I want it to end. But the problem is I don't want the terrorist organization to exist either. So the reality is you're going to have to do some very hard things in order for peace to actually come about. And it's hard. I get it. But I'm not going to change my opinion and side with the terrorist organization. No, thank you. I'm not going to side with Islam. No, thank you. Because I know what comes if that happens. And these journalists, I guess you could say, all right, Piers Morgan, you want to see what's going on? Go over there yourself. Go find out the truth for yourself. Don't just stand back and go, oh, I'm going to criticize Israel. I've changed my viewpoint because Bassam Youssef convinced me. He had a very strong argument. Oh, Israel is really, really bad. But Islam is good. Very, very good. Trust me. It's peaceful. Oh, sure. And loads of people in the comment section have been going, you jump on the current thing. What's a appropriate response? I don't agree with everything you say, but you are open about it. Yeah, well, that's not entirely true now, is it? But anyway, loads of people have been saying that Piers Morgan is a charlatan, he's a fraud. He just continues to lie through the skin of his teeth because it's good for him to do so, creates drama. And that's all his show is known for at the moment, creating a great deal of drama, which to his credit, he does quite well. But that doesn't mean that the truth gets out there for people to actually see it or hear it. Piers goes, and I'll finish with this. I don't seek anyone's forgiveness. Sounds like you're being a bit proud there anyway. I'll always say what I think is right at the time, even if it makes me unpopular with a particular group. Well, the problem is, Piers, by you saying that, number one, you contradict yourself in the very beginning because you just want to be popular amongst a particular group of people all the time. You've always changed your mind. You did it during COVID. People called you out on it. Then you were like, oh, I think I made a mistake. And then you're starting to change your opinion on the Israel conflict. That's another thing. Then the Ukraine conflict. That's another thing as well. Then you lie about Tommy Robinson. That's another thing as well. So it's just whatever seems accurate. I wonder, whatever seems trendy at the time, sorry, not accurate. I wonder how you're going to go with the South African thing. I wonder. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.